What's up? Catchphrase. That's right. Finally moved back here again on the Nord Micro Modular. Well, I gotta say there was quite a positive response to my old school techno track from a previous stream. I don't know what got everybody all fired up about that. But by a surprising coincidence, I had some ideas after making that patch, sort of tweaks that I could have incorporated and I missed out on doing so. So I think I'm going to go back and do it again. Not the same exact patch, but another attempt at making old school techno, which I'm going to do straight away. What are some of the things we're going to do today? Number one, we're going to try and get a better 303 sound. Number two, we're going to try some tricks to cut down on sequencer use, and these might be useful for other non-techno applications. And number three, we're going to try and do two melodic patterns to allow the overall techno machine to have a bit more variation. So you can see here I've only built a 3-voice mixer for today. That's because I'm going to do one synth and one hi-hat and one kick drum, which is the same instruments we used in the last old school techno, but I promise you they're going to sound quite different. And I've got a compressor here just because that is the secret ingredient, the magic glue that sticks it all together. It makes it much more listenable for broadcasting live like this, and it prevents speakers from getting destroyed, so it's just all around good. What I'm not going to do is start with the minimal dub generator massive sequencer setup that you saw me use both for the old school techno and for the modern techno. I'm just going to build it from scratch here. So I want to go back to a ridiculously fast tempo like we had before. I liked the 140 almost Gabber fast tempo of the stuff I was hearing in other people's patches. So I'm going to start with that. And here's one trick right out of the gate. I'm going to get a clock divider. And usually we'd use this output, 4 pulses per beat, to drive a sequencer, which we will do today. I'm going to put it in here into the input of the clock and divide that by 4. And then I'm going to make a drum sound synthesizer, set it to a kick drum, and that's my sequencer. Boom. It's giving me a 4 on the floor pattern, which is quite a boring pattern, but many of my models of the old school techno were using exactly that. And why take a 16-step sequencer just to tell it to play 4 on the floor when you can just divide the clock by 4? So, boom. It seems so simple, but it's useful. I first came across that trick when someone was writing an article for Sound on Sound about building your first modular. This is back when Dopefer was one of the only Eurorack makers, or perhaps the only one. And he said if you can't afford a sequencer, get a clock divider and get one other Dopefer module. I can't exactly remember which one. And you've almost got a sequencer right away, because if you divide the clock by 4, you have a 4 on the floor kick. If you divide the clock by other numbers, you can get the snares on the 2 and on the 4, and you can make up simple but useful patterns that using just that, and you don't need the sequencer channel that you could be used for something else. So you got a bit of a dull sound. Let's take a listen here. I'm going to turn it up in the mixer on the right here. This is the kick I started with in the previous one. Oh, I've got a lot of reverb, so let's kill some of that because it's incorrectly influencing my actual sound. And there's barely any now. Okay, so rather than use the default, I want to tweak it to my own needs. So let's try that. Wow, that's just a little bit down and it gets real deep there. Let's try backing off this decay. Yep, decay has an incredible effect on the sound, really. Hope you got headphones on for this one. Wow. So there's a nice, thudding, powerful kick. Only a few tweaks, but it's a long way from the preset, at least to my ears. So let's do another trick now, just while we're being tricky. Trick this out. I hope this works, because I've been talking about how awesome it is. This is a logic delay. Now, the Nord Micro Modular doesn't have digital delays for audio because it doesn't have that kind of chip in it. I mean, it has one, but those delays are measured in very small amounts of milliseconds and are used for things like carpless strong. But it can delay logic for a long time because it's not really, all it's doing is just waiting to deliver that pulse. So you can see here it can go up to 18 seconds. We don't need anything like that, but let's make our second drum synthesizer here. Let's set it to some kind of symbol. Plug it into the output. We'll back it off a little bit there. Now the typical pattern for the hi-hat is to be on the offbeat. So again, I don't want to waste another sequencer on it. I'm just going to take this 4 on the floor kick pattern, delay it as a logic pulse, and then send that to the hat. Now, this is not very mathematical. I'll have to use my ear to find where the exact right offbeat is, because this is measured in milliseconds, not in eighth notes or something. But I think I can do it, so let's figure out if I can. Plug it into the input of the logic delay and the output into the hi-hat. I'm not getting anything there. What am I doing wrong? I'm not seeing any pulses here. This is kind of bad. Okay. Okay, hold on a sec here. Bear with me. There's like a swung beat, but I'm going to try and keep it straight. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, well, if I'm off here, when I plug in the sequencer for the synth, we'll quickly discover it and fix it even more. So let's change the sound to make it a bit better. Okay, it's not amazing. I'm going to be doing a bit more work later to input the velocity input of that, but I want to go ahead and make the synth first, and we'll get to that in a sec. So where's our synth? We'll take OSC B, gives me the saw and the square. I'm going to experiment with that in a sec. I'm going to use the filter I used in the last one, which is classic, I think. Yeah, because it gives me 18. And I'm going to use a typical AD envelope. And I'm going to follow that up with distortion. We had a bit of distortion on the last one. I'm not sure if I got the sound right. I might not have tweaked it properly. So, hey, why didn't that work? There it is, overdrive. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to wire in a wave wrapper in case it does a better job of getting the kind of distortion that I want. So let's patch it up. Osc out, filter in, filter out to the envelope, and then after the envelope, we have these two possible distortion candidates who are both basically bypassed for now. And into the third and last channel in our mixer. You know, I'm just going to turn this down a bit because 30 minutes of a kick and a hat at Gabber tempo will turn you, well, it won't be good for you in the long term. So here we go. Event sequencer. I got one here. And since I spent so much work avoiding using sequencers for these guys, I've decided to try and use these two channels of the event sequencer to make two different melodic sequences for the synth. So I'm still going to need two note sequencers. Yep. But basically when sequencer A is playing and use the top channel, or sequencer B is playing and use the bottom channel. So both of those will belong to the synth in that sense. So to make that happen, I guess I need a logic processor. So I need to, oh, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm also going to need switches. Just realized this may be slightly longer than some of our other streams to get all these promised bonuses correct. Is this it? Yep, crossfade with, yeah, that's right. Okay. So we're going to use one of these for pitch. There's pitch from sequencer 1, pitch from sequencer 2, and the output goes into the pitch input of our oscillator. If we have enough power, we may make a second oscillator. Even with all my attempt at saving, we're still at 71%. Wow, that's more than I expected, but there you go. And then we're going to take, I hope this works, output of sequencer 1 into 1, output of sequencer 2 into 2, and send that out to the gate of the envelope. I could have cheated, like I could have used one set of gates and then changed the notes only on the sequencers. We're going to try and make two completely different patterns. So I guess I don't need the logic processor. And what I will need is an LFO, which is a square wave, which I can never select the right one. It's such a scatterbrain. I'll find you. Don't you worry. I'll get you. There we go. Let's get rid of these guys. So this LFO has the job of being the pattern switcher. I don't currently have a way to sync him to my song, but I think my sequences will do the job for me. So they might switch from part 1 to part 2 in the middle of a pattern. That's the way it goes. So I set the fading to maximum, and I set them both to 1 as the default. So when this light switches on, it will play one pattern, and when it switches off, it'll play the other. Let's slow it down a bit and let us hear each pattern as it goes. You can see it was a bit fast. So I can go ahead, I'm going to wire from the standard clock output, not the divider, into the sequencer and into the two note sequencers. I think I can even use the sync input to make sure they reset to the right point every time. Although I don't see them doing that yet. Let's try this. Okay, they seem to be running. Okay, so I should be able to now program in my patterns, and I'll be switching between them. So let's do a slightly busier pattern on channel 2 and a more minimal one on channel 1. When it goes quiet, that means it's playing the other sequence. So I guess I'm going to try and do both of them sort of together. So let's do the busy one down here. There's the busy one. And it's back to the other one. So it doesn't switch like right in the middle of a beat, but sorry, it does. It doesn't switch on the end of a bar. It switches when it wants to. So let's do channel 1 here. Why don't I drop him down 12? He's got something on 7. I have to do this trick again where I extend each note information. Okay. I like pattern 1. I think I'm going to drop my oscillator down a octave here. So this final step, the 16th step, is minus 24. So when you use that and you're down an octave, that's kind of as low as you want to go. So let's get something more melodic up here. And 6 has a note. It looks like 8 has a note. Okay, and we got 12, 13, and 14 here, each have them. Let's do some more wacky octave stuff with those. We go up an octave on the 16th step. I have to turn that on there. So there's my busy sequence. Let's go ahead and tweak the synth a bit and see if we can get a better sound out of him than we got now. Turn up the volume a little bit here. Yeah, take some of even the decay out so you can hear the shorter notes. Pretty sure I want a clocked random step generator for my filter. Feed that to here. And I'm really maxing out the resonance here to try and get that acidy sound. In fact, maybe, oh, here's an idea. Isn't there another filter? Yeah, this one has an input. Okay, great. Sorry, but I'm going to switch filters here. Plug this bad boy in. He doesn't have a setting for 18 dB, but what he does have is an input for resonance. And I'm going to make another clocked random step generator here. Put this one on mono and color version. So I'm going to send those 16-step random sequences not only to the filter input, but also to the resonance to get some squelchy acid goodness, and I think it'll work out for me. So plug this into here, this into the envelope. Here we go. It's good. Now we're going to experiment with some distortion. That's not what I'm going for. It's not the right thing. Let's try the wrapper now. Not exactly. What if we ran this into here and opened it up? This is a long shot, but I'm going to go for the third distortion option. Man, I feel like a perfectionist, which is the opposite of what I usually am. This is clipping, a third kind of distortion. Turn this back off. Turn this up. What about symmetric? Try feeding it this. It really robs the sound of a lot of its energy. Still not quite right. Okay. I'm not loving it. I'm going to leave it on these settings. I may come back. I think I want to... Still got 25% of my processing power. So I think what I want to do is make another little mixer here and give myself a second oscillator. So I'm going to go into the slave oscillator category. Please do not write me letters. Thank you. I'm looking for a square. Where's the square? That is certainly not a square. It's a lot of things, but it's not a square. Oh, gee. Oh man, I'm making LFOs. What am I doing? This is all wrong. Oscillator. Is that a square? It looks like a square. Yeah, that's the one. So we connect slave out to master in. It might be too much, but I'm going to drop him an octave down. Well, the first one's already an octave down. It shouldn't be too much. Then I feed him into mixer input 1. And the original oscillator goes into the mixer as well, and then into the filter. The reason I did this before turning off the distortion is that I figured I would experiment with having 2 oscillators into the distortion instead of 1 and see if it helped. I don't think that's helping. Let's keep experimenting. That's weird, but it's not helping. Oh, the clip was still on. Shoot. Let's just try that again with everything. That's the most interesting, but it's still not very good. Okay. Gonna patch that back into the mixer. Hold on. Okay, let's tweak it a bit without any distortion and see if we can get any better. One thing I did want to do is take out some of these steps. I think we just had too many. I'm going to do another classic trick and sweep the pulse width on this guy. Well, it's sounding pretty good. Distortion or no distortion. Oh, that's right. I was going to do another trick, which was the velocity of the hi-hat. Okay, yeah, let's do that. First of all, let's try our standard trick and see if that does the job. Control signal mixer and constant. Set constant to something in the 20s. And the other input has to be a clocked random step generator, which we have. And send that to hat velocity. Let's bring up the hat. It's already doing something. Cool, okay. Okay, here's another crazy idea. I don't have a place to put it. I'm just going to put it here. What if indeed, clock pattern generator. Hook it up to the normal clock. And make another switch. Crossfade 1. Oops. Mixer, crossfade 1, put it over here with the other switches, connect it to the same square wave switcher that it always has, and my channel 1 is going to be the normal fake sequencer of the hi-hat, and my second one is going to be a logic processor. This is an OR gate, so it will let either through. So in pattern 1, you'll still get the normal boring hi-hat. In pattern 2, you'll get the boring hi-hat plus the output of this pattern generator, which will be just doing random 16-step patterns. And so you should get a more busy hi-hat signal. Let's make sure the reset connects to the same reset. And so let's feed this back into the hi-hat and we should get it. You should hear a minimal one on pattern 1 and a busy one on pattern 2. Oh wait, I screwed it up. This output has to go into the switch, and the switch has to go into the drum synth. Okay, there's a simple one. Let's try changing the gate type. Exclusive OR is what I needed to use. Cool. It's interesting, especially with the velocity variation. It can have that strangeness and still not be overpowering. You can probably bring it down in the mix a little and bring the kick back up. And with all that, I wonder if the overdrive might buy me something. Sounds better. Killed the hi-hat too much. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. A lot of strange tweaking went on there to get us to that point. This should really be in the far left sequencing stack. And I think it might be significant to point out that in this one anyway... Wait, why is there an overdrive over here? What the hell is that? Get out of there. You notice that we've got very little in the way of sound generating components. Quite a lot in the way of sequencing components because we have two patterns and we're switching between them. So it becomes more complicated. We're still at only 80%. We could do other stuff with this as well. But I like it. Let's listen to it for a bit. Let me just take this out. This is the thing that is changing the pattern, but I worried that I was sending it a CV that was too fast. The other thing I did was I brought the constant up a little bit. So that means there's less variation in the velocity of the hi-hat, but it's more steady. Let's that's not what I want. So we're going to bring the synth down a tiny bit. I think that's a good mix though, kick, snare, and hat. You can almost bring this is the switcher, you can bring that down a little bit so you can hear each pattern in its own. Yeah, that's better. Switched. Cool. I like it. I'm down with this. I'm not going to say it's better than the other techno. It's just different. But it certainly has more variation with those two different patterns, so it's more like a real track. I dig it. Let's save it. We're getting close to the maximum here, baby. Oh, don't crash on me now. Daddy needs a new save file. That's right. This is number 94. Old school T2. I think I'll get the point. Yeah, and it fits in the thing. Save it in the synth. Cool. Well, I hope y'all dug this one. This old Gabber rave, whatever the heck this is. I do think this is an improvement. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. I've been your DJ, Father Moo, and I ain't going nowhere. Still bringing the videos, trying to keep it as regular as possible. It's not a video a day, but it's 3 or 4 a week. That's pretty good. I think that's my schedule for now. I appreciate so much to see all your comments, to see the new subscribers. This is the best time for a little channel when it's just started to grow. And I hope you're enjoying the ride as much as I am. We do have a Patreon. If you look at my bio, we do have a Discord. We could be chatting in there if anybody wants to. So, it's great seeing you all again. I'm going to play the riff for a bit. I'm going to sign off. This has been Father Moo and the Big Church. Peace.